start.
Hello colleagues, this is Beatrice Apuri, presenting on the topic forced child early marriages in the Kasena Nankana West District of the Upper East region. When we talk about child and early marriages, what do we mean? This is a formal or informal union by two people who are underage, the age of 18 years, who cannot give a legal consent concerning their marriage. And when we talk about forced marriage, what do we mean about forced marriage? This is a union with two people who do not consent at all. Either one party or the two of them do not consent at all of the marriage. And there's always pressure put on them to get married. Violence, financial pressure is put on them to get married. Forced marriage is also illegal. The law frowns seriously against it. It can happen in secret or it can be planned between families for both parties to get married. And what are the victims here? It could be older women, girls under age of 18, mentally retarded, physically challenged, and then the visually impaired. And in some cases, boys are involved. We have some types of marriages, and the types are arranged, bride trafficking, bride kidnapping, and then child marriage. When we talk about arranged marriage, what do we mean? Parents arrange for their children to get married without their consent. And then with the bride kidnapping, ladies are being kidnapped and sent to other places to get married without their consent. With the bride trafficking, brides are being sold out for money for marriage without their consent. And then with the child marriage, the children are forced, who are underage are forced to get married without their consent. Now, what are the root causes of forced marriages? One, we have families think that when ladies don't get married early, they may stay at home, get pregnant, and then the family's reputation will be thrown in the mud. So they're always trying to force them to get married before they sit in the house and become pregnant. Certain times too, it is because of poverty. There is so much poverty in the remote areas whereby they feel that forcing the girl children to get married for them to get money or their bride prices may reduce their financial burden in a way. And then so in some families, they want to get them married because they want to control their sexual life, because there are some women, as they start growing up, become very active in sex, which some families frown against. Now, when we want to look at all these things, what are the effects and the problems of forced marriages? Girls' education is so much disrupted. It jeopardizes the socio-economic independence of the women and the girls, therefore leaving them very vulnerable. And then it prevents them from participating in other women and activities, political activities and social spheres everywhere and every day. All these things leave the girls very vulnerable to violence, discrimination, abuse, including domestic violence, domestic slavery, and sex abuse. And then there's murder. A lot of women are being murdered because they try to escape from their marriages. Then it brings about premature death because some girls are really not prepared for marriage and for childbearing. Once they get married and they become pregnant, they get retarded growth due to anemia, and they die. Some get prolonged labor because they are not prepared as women to give birth. Some even have a vaginal fistula, which at the end of it all cannot be fit into the society. They are being stigmatized, they are being shun away from, and then all these things. And then we have some programs. What are these programs that are born into forced marriage to end to end forced marriage in the Kasena Nankana West region. World Vision has come in, Comfort has come in, UNICEF has come in, Catholic Relief Services have all come in to see whether they can get rid of forced marriages. They have really done their best. Measures have been put in place. They try to educate the communities who are practicing the false marriages. They inform health workers and professionals about these things so that they too can be talking with them in the communities. And then they empower girls by giving them information and skills to support them to be aware of forced marriages. Then another point is they have encouraged supportive laws and policies in the region and in the districts as well, so that all these all the forced marriages would be stopped or would be reduced. Upon all this, a child or early marriage or forced marriages, are they reducing, are they stopping? No, not in the Kasena Nankana West. It is still happening. Why? Because girls in the very remotest areas are not being reached. These organizations have failed to get into the remotest villages to get these girls educated, to get them out of their ignorance. This they have helped, but then it is not enough. They need to get into the remotest areas for that. And then look at I think the organizations really have done their best, but then they have ignored, or they haven't looked at the physically challenged girl who is in the village. They haven't looked at the visually impaired girl. They haven't looked at speech impaired girl. How about the mentally retarded girl? All those girls are being neglected. They haven't looked into that aspect of the girl child. They are there. Parents intentionally say these girls they are useless. They have no help for them. So they are prepared to give these children out for marriage to any man who is capable of providing shelter for them and then food for them, so that the children become bearing machines for them. Parents do not actually care about that. So these girls must be helped. They must also be given skills. They must also be given information, education, for them to know the consequences of forced marriages. In conclusion, I think there should be equal rights for every child underage. Every child, whether mentally retarded, physically challenged or whatever, they should look into the girl child, into the remotest areas to bring up their skills. A lot of them have skills, but they are deprived. They are deprived because organizations do not really think about them when they are implementing their policies. Thank you so much.